Hey everybody. So, my name's Angelo. I'm the founder of NFT Athletic Community, and I thought what I would do is share with everyone how I actually go through, and a lot of you are starting to learn our philosophy, the how to actually lose weight long term, how to get healthy, and we're debunking a lot of things. We're giving you the tools that you need in order to be healthy and fit. And one of the things that we talk about, or I do specifically, is talking about being experimental. I used to be a runner. That's who I was. That's how I was being healthy. But as time has passed, I've become more, especially lately, more exploratory. And I started learning a whole bunch of things in my journey starting back in 2018. And so I wanted to share with you what I do on a routine basis. So I'm going to give you the inside look here on how I approach things. So this is what I do every day when I have a chance. Sometimes I don't get the chance, but yeah, I'm gonna just kind of give you the inside of what goes on in my life and how do I stay healthy and fit and where I'm at. So one of the things that I do is I have my notes here. I have my iPad that I open up and I have my notes here, and so I will type everything that I find. So uh, I like this because then I can just type as I go along, or I can share from my laptop to my iPad something that I want to do. Instead of writing it down, I can just pass things back and forth. So that's why I have my iPad. And yeah, and then I'm just going to walk you step by step how I approach things, why I do things the way I do, why do I think this way, and why it's not like necessarily the answers. I'm never looking for an answer. I'm looking for questions. And I'm looking for more questions because I'm trying to get more distinctions. Once I learn something, because, in this world, it gets very difficult because there's so much information flowing around. What's right? Like yesterday, eggs were bad. Today, eggs are wonderful. But there's probably a story behind both of them. And how do we get behind the scenes to figure out the story of what's true, what's not, right? And it's when you start getting into the details, that's when we start revealing things. But it's kind of like a journey. This whole thing is a journey. And that's why I felt like, maybe this is something that you'd be interested in coming along with me and trying to figure out what all these things about health and fitness and where it goes. So, yeah, and then I'm just going to share like what's going on with me as I do some of my research. So, the first thing I'm going to do is switch over to my desktop here, and let me see. I'm going to be pulling up a website on Google. Okay, so the first thing I do when I go out there, let me share my screen, is I go to Google. Hopefully you can see that. Yep, okay. I go to Google and I just type in top health and fitness, if I can spell, fitness news today. Boom. And then I see what comes up. And so there's three things I'm typically looking for when I look these up. And you can try different things. You could do top health. I just go with top health and fitness news today. Typically, I do this on my iPad and send it to my computer or my phone or whatever. So this is the first time I'm trying to do this on my screen, and we'll see how this goes. But anyways, so the first thing I do is I go to the first thing that pops up, and I'm looking for three things. And I talk about this when I talk about your belief systems. I'm looking for something that resonates with me, something that I feel resistance against, or something that persists. So if I see an article or something that falls into those three criteria, then I kind of do a dive in. And this is where it becomes exploratory because I don't know what life is going to throw at me. I don't know what's going to come up in in these articles. So it's kind of fun to kind of explore and just kind of do a little research. We don't have to get like so deep into things like we have to pull them apart, but we can. Uh, I kind of let my intrigue and interest kind of direct where I go. I'm kind of feeling a flow, and based on that flow, will determine what I do. So some of this stuff may not resonate with you, and you may not like the topic that I choose or whatever, but the whole point is just to kind of give you an insight of what I'm looking at. So the first thing I also do is look at the date. So these are kind of, I say kind of old, but really what's we're looking for is something in September, since that's the month that we're in. And these are kind of old as well, but we got some really good headlines. So we got research discovery gene promotes muscle strength during exercise. Not really interesting for me. The importance of elders. Let's see. Exercise induced central fatigue. Low oxygen supply clouds judgment. I'm kind of understanding that. It's worth the money to pay for a weight loss program. Now, if you follow me or NFT athletic community, you'll know that this is one of the things we kind of beat up on weight loss programs. Not that they're bad. We're not saying that they're bad. We're saying that they're missing a lot of components that are necessary in order to not necessarily lose weight. I don't know if you noticed. Nope, I thought maybe I got a message from somebody on some health topic. So it's not that they don't, I mean, you lose weight. The problem is what happens is these programs don't work as you get older, or I shouldn't say they don't work. They take longer to work. So a 30-day lose your weight fitness program today in your 20s is going to take longer than 30 days, probably, in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. So if you're 50 years old and you're looking at your 20-year-old and you are both to go on that same plan, you are going to lose weight a lot faster as a 20-year-old than you are a 50-year-old or even a 40-year-old. It's just the way the body works. Age, that's what happens with age. We can't change that. So, but what's interesting is that this article really makes me feel resistant to it, to be honest. I don't resonate with it. I resist it because is it really worth money to pay for a weight loss program? Depends. But let's take a dive in there and see. So now my first resistance was this article here. Was by the University of British Columbia. So if I want to do more research on this, I'm going to dive into to this. This is important, right? Because sometimes we learn things out of context and we take it at face value. Somebody says, "Hey, eating eggs are bad." Okay, and we're like, "Oh, why?" Well, it does this, this, and this. But maybe it was the way they prepared it. Maybe it was the age. Maybe it was all these different factors that play into things. But what we're going to do is if there's something really resistance in here, because now what we want to do is take this in. So this resists against me because is it really worth money to pay for a weight loss program? It battles some of my beliefs, so I'm going to open up my mind to it and allow it to come in. And since we're technically speaking, I would look at this and be like, do I really want to deal with this now, or is this very interesting that I'll pick up later? Since we're doing this live, I'm going to pick it up now. And essentially, I'm now going to evaluate what parts really resonate with me. Was it just a catcher? Was it just a headline catcher? Or are there parts in here that resonated with me? Either way, I'm under the impression that life gives you what you need to listen and hear to. And since this is, whether the title is worthy or not, it resonated or resisted with me. So now I need to dive in. So here we go. I'm going to read this right here with you. For people trying to improve their health and lose weight by themselves, privately tracking and journaling meals and exercise. New research from UBC suggests it's time to call in the professionals. Okay. This doctor, latest research paper suggests people trying to make lifestyle changes are more successful when they use a commercial weight loss program compared to those trying to do it on their own. Um, so that's interesting to me. So does that mean like they're just trying to make things up, trying to go out there and figure things out on their own, or going out to this weight loss program, whether it be Beachbody or whatever, is the way to go? She is the director of the Center of Obesity Wellbeing Research. So, what would be interesting here is this the case for those who are obese? Because my assumption here is that if you're obese, an obese individual, then maybe the reason you are obese, I'm not saying that's the case, but maybe the reason you are obese is because you have made poor choices. So you need the guidance that you haven't gotten. So having a weight plan maybe, but given the prevalence of obesity, accessible and effective treatment options are needed to manage obesity and is combined and it is comorbid conditions include heart disease and pre-diabetes. Okay, here we go. Evidence-based commercial weight management programs are a potential solution to the lack of available treatment and considerably cheaper than a clinic-based approach. So instead of going to a doctor and really trying to get maybe surgery or do some other type of weight loss tactic, they're saying that maybe it makes better sense to do a weight management program. But she notes very few commercial programs have been rigorously evaluated. So isn't that interesting? This is probably where my resonance comes into play, because I feel like they just pump these things out, and I'm sure they do some research out there, some of these programs, but I feel that it's sort of like to the general public. It never really addresses like you as the individual. It doesn't address me as an individual. What works for you may not work for me. And so these programs really need to be evaluated, even probably beyond what I think this person even thinks they need to be evaluated for. Let's take a deeper dive, making it difficult for doctors to refer patients to. Okay. And this is actually one of the reasons why I don't really care what program you use out there. Just try something. And again, going back to that resonating, resisting, and persistence, if those things start happening inside a program, you should really take a look at those, because those are the things that are really going to make you grow or really solidify something that you can latch on to. Like if you resonate with something, that's really cool, because that's probably something that you can actually create a habit on. If you resist something, that's really great, because that means that you have a place to grow. Challenge resistance is where we grow. And if it's persistent, that means life really wants us to look at something. And then we probably have it in one of those different categories. We either resonate with it or we resist it. Most likely, if it's persistent, we usually take in the things we resonate with, but those things that are resistant, those are probably the things we push off, and so they probably show up a lot more. I'm just kind of skimming here. Even fewer of these programs integrate cognitive, affective, and behavior factors. Very true. Seen as critical elements of care and supported as a basic standard of any care. Okay, now I'm glad I went into this, because now this actually addressed something that I firmly believe in, that behavioral factors are a huge part, and these programs are missing that part of it. You do a P90X, you do these things, they don't address all the different things that you're going to be facing. It doesn't address where you are in your life. It doesn't address what your mental well-being is at this time. It doesn't really address hydration, sleep, and all these things. They mention it, but it doesn't really dive deep into these things that make a whole complete health and fitness program. So the fact that they say this, with the not being evaluated, now makes me think that this person's on the same track as me as about. So you saw the resistance there. Now that I read into it a little bit further, allowing this all to come in, now I'm opening up because now I'm understanding where they're coming from. As a result, doctors are reluctant to refer patients to commercial programs. That's why I'm reluctant. Actually, I'm not even reluctant. I just say go out there and try it. But let's take into consideration all these different things that are out there, like that we need to also include. So we're doing a challenge very soon, and I'm going to be showing people the tools that you need to have in order so that you could take a program and inherit this. And this is where I think the doctors are falling short on, is saying, okay, yeah, you're reluctant because of why? Because you don't feel confident to talk about those other pieces. Those other pieces, if you could show them, and again, we're not talking rocket science here. We're talking fundamentals. Once you have the fundamentals and the tools that we share in all our content, you'll see that actually it's very easy to refer to a program. Like if you and I were to sit down together and I were to go over and unlock, and that's what we do, we show people how to unlock their personal health and fitness plan. If I were to sit down and be like, okay, let's take a look at you, and we go through our 6-step process, 7-step process, and break down and unlock your potential, your personal fitness plan, then I would say go out there and do those 3 things, right? Find something that resonates, resist, or persist, and pick that program. And let's take it in, and then let's see how we migrate it, integrate it into your personal fitness plan, because that's what we need to do. These commercial programs are not bad. They do what they say. But you may be later on in your life, and it may not be a 30-day program. It may be a 90-day program. Some things may trigger you better than others. And it's not so much the program that's good or bad. The program is good, but it's set up for a certain specific person. And we can take the good pieces out of it and integrate it and then go find other pieces, right? So, yeah, here I go ranting and raving. Essentially, obesity. So now this person really talks about obesity because that's where their mind is, that's their world. I would even say that it goes beyond even obesity, but it must address the root drivers of obesity, the root drivers. So really good snag in with the title, and we're really getting into the root of things. The do-it-yourself. So this is what I was really interested in, is the do-it-yourself. And the remaining to a do-it-yourself group. Okay. So do-it-yourself participants were provided with the common weight loss approaches, including strategies, diet tracking, self-monitoring, then essentially left to their own devices. So that's sort of what we do. So this is actually interesting, because they're saying that, if I understand correctly, these groups of individuals are going to go off track. But I think these individuals, and I'll get into, let me just keep going through the article. Those were encouraged to attend weekly workshops and private weight assessments, and discuss sessions, problem solving. Okay, yeah, this paragraph right here nails it. This is why the do-it-yourselves are having problem right here. Everybody knows technically what we need to do, but it's how do you set up succession, which is step number 6 in our process. Yeah, at 3 months, these were secondary benefits, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and here's a good reference. So always go down to if there's something that you really hesitate with and really fight it, like, oh, because a lot of people take things at face value, but we want to actually be able to dive in and be like, okay, because what's going to happen is you're going to share this with somebody in some cases, and somebody's going to challenge you, and you're not going to have the answer. and they're going to ask you questions, and they're legitimate, and that's okay. You're going to have some questions. And so what you want to do is go down here. If there's no reference whatsoever, I kind of avoid that. And probably at the beginning, I should have done that. I should have went to the bottom and saw if there's resources. Because if there's no backup to the research that they did, then I kind of uh, veer off of it, because then I can't validate if it's true. Someone just made it up. And so we need to have that validity. So here's what I got from this article and what resonates with me, and I guess it puts me right where I'm at. Yes, I think this article is really good. I think it's missing a couple of things. So the weight loss programs, yes, they're good, but they got to be lifelong. They can't be 30-day, 90-day, and they miss a whole bunch of things, like they said. On the other side, you have your do-it-yourselfers who understand. I mean, obviously, most of us know that going to McDonald's is going to not be good for us. We know drinking more water, getting more sleep, doing all these different things are really important. Um, Let me go back to here and switch to this. So we know these things, right? We know that for the most part how to be healthy. What bumps up against us is all the stuff out there, and really diving deep into what really is true and what is false. And so someone may have looked at that title, may have just skimmed, caught a couple of things that resonated with them, and didn't really go in deep like I just sort of did, and really start questioning, like, and then they may go around spreading false information like, hey, everybody, there's proof that we should be buying these programs. Okay, I read this article that we should be buying these programs because they work. They're going to be better than doing whatever it is that you're doing out there. And that's not true. And the article actually goes into that. So there's the portion of it that is the program that's very specific, that needs to be evaluated, like that person. The do it yourself person, if they have the tools and everything that they need, they should be able to go into a program like that and take it in. Or do what I do, which is a do it yourself. I'm probably the smallest portion of that group of the do it yourselfers that actually succeed, because I do experiment, I do try different things. I allow my weight to expand a little bit in order to learn something and then bring it back down. So I'm not in this state of like perfect. I'm not looking for perfect. I mean, I guess if I was obese like I was in 2015, then I wasn't overly obese, but I was obese. I did go onto a program and really lost a lot of weight. But the the thing is that we need to really examine what it is that we're missing. And I believe you don't need to spend tons of money on these programs. I don't think you need to, even though that research says it. I think if you know the fundamentals, you grab one or two programs or do what I'm doing. Eventually, I'm going to come across an article that talks about weight loss. And it's probably going to be like whatever the trend is, right? So this is how I know what the trends are. I go out there, I do these articles, and all of a sudden there's talk about the keto diet, the Atkins diet, the this diet, the that diet. And everybody wants to be the first ones to talk about it. So I don't have to go out there and do the research necessarily. I let the articles come in, and then I say, okay, based on the things that I know, the tools that I know, how do I incorporate these to work for me, right? And this is why these things don't work for you as well. What I do is going to work for someone similar to me. May not work for you. So we got to do these different things to figure out what works for us. And then I look at those, I read them, and then I say, okay, this resonates, this resists, this persists. And then I take those and I play with them. And then I see what happens. And I can say that whatever I was doing, I always revert back, right? So if things are getting better, like I feel more energy, I feel more aware, I'm more focused, I'm losing weight, I'm gaining more muscle. I start analyzing what's happening, and I have rules in place. And these rules tell me when I get out of bounds. And when I get out of bounds, then that tells me whether or not I'm headed in the right direction, or do I need to revert back to where I was prior to? So there's always like this standard set. I do all these things, I explore, and here I am. Then something new comes in, and then I say, okay, is it going to take me higher in my health and fitness, or is it going to take me lower? And if it takes me lower, what are the rules and criteria to let me know that it's lower, and not so much that it's going to take me forever to get back to standard? Or does it take me to a higher level? Then I just start doing that, more of that. And then I just keep experimenting. And once you're confident, and that's what I think, a lot of a, a lot of people get the tools that they need, they understand the things that they need, then they go out there, and then all this stuff comes pouring in. And then what happens? They start questioning themselves. They start becoming uncertain. And like I said, eggs yesterday were horrible. Today they're the best thing in the world. Tomorrow it's going to be horrible again. you know, and you're like, "Okay, I don't know what's going on." And it starts making you questioning yourself. And that's why the support group, the do-it-yourselfers should have support groups. They should be part of success teams and having success conversations, goal setting. And that's why our community exists, to provide that stuff to you, to have the exercise lounges every day so that you can jump in, have conversations with me or somebody else, and go into our chat rooms and start talking on our Facebook groups and things like that, to start really getting you the support that you need. And then we'll come in and start removing the fluff and saying, okay, here's where you're missing the point, right? You're missing the state control. So this week in the exercise lounge, I'm talking about 5 ways to lose weight, 5 steps to lose weight. It's all about state control. And if you take care of that one little thing, that could change everything. I'm serious about that. That can change your life just by that one little tool. And you may forget about it. And what's going to happen is a lot of us in there are in the chat rooms or whatever, or at least me. I'm going to see that, and I'm going to see the way you're talking, and I'm going to be like, that person's out of state. I need to reach in there and grab that person and make sure they get back into state. Because once you're back into state, the proper state, things will change. And that's what a support system does. So I think you need both worlds. I think you need these programs at first if you want to try something, or just go out to the internet and try anything, but have fun, explore. Now, if you're in a place where you're unsatisfied with whom you are, yes, go get a program, go do the program, learn some of the basics of eating healthy and exercising. But in the end, you need to also have a support group. You need some way for people to to motivate you and all this stuff. You need a way to have the fundamentals and tools, and they're always there. Like, you need somebody to be like, hey, you need a hammer. Like, you're trying to screw in a nail, and you need once in a while for someone to be like, hey, how about you use this hammer instead of that screw? You're using the wrong tool, right? Um, you're angry and you're about to go hammer a nail into the wall. I'd probably be like, hey, let's redo this, take a time out for a second and reestablish a good state, then go hammer that nail, right? That's what we need. But to have the tools available to you that people can show you how to use them, and go into a situation where you go out to the internet, look at an article. Now I'm pretty satisfied. This didn't really lead me to anywhere, but I do have an old thing that keeps popping up in my mind, so it's very persistent, that tomorrow I'll start doing some research on, which is LIT, low intensity training. I've heard of HIIT, but a couple of times LIT keeps coming up, and it keeps coming up in my mind. So tomorrow I'm going to walk through the same process, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to go research LIT and see what we can find on that. Okay, I'm not sure how long this was, but yeah, I think we'll end this here. But this is the inside with me, and I'm going to do this daily so you can see the types of things. Now, later on, we'll figure out how to get people to jump up and join, but feel free to chat, interact, and we'll get this going. If you're watching this on the replay, awesome. Please leave your comments, concerns below. Um, Again, I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be. So if you have something that resonates or resists with you, feel free to interact. Tell me that you don't like what I said about something. Tell me that you agreed with something. Tell me that I should go look at this instead of that. This is how I learn. And I'd be interested to see what you come across, because that is just another way of me opening up my journey to health and fitness. Okay. Have a wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow. I don't know if this is going to be persistent, if I can do this at 1 o'clock every time. I don't know. Just kind of having fun and see where this leads me. But that's it for today. Have a good one.